Cris, Canty, we've been talking all week about Big Ben and the Steelers talking about how they know how good the Patriots are. It's going to be a tough task ahead. They've got an uphill battle. You throw all of them out there. How do they do it? How does the Steelers team beat the Patriots?
Well, what do you want to start with, the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball? Because there are keys to both sides of the ball. But the first thing defensively for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they got to figure out how to stop Rob Gronkowski. Now, I know Rob Gronkowski is not the athlete that we knew from 5 years ago, but he's still been able to be very effective against that Steelers defense. Even though the Steelers defense is top 10 in yardage, they're not a top 10 group as it gets to points scored. So you got to be able to slow that down, slow Rob Gronkowski down, because he's an integral part of what Tom Brady wants to do in terms of being able to sustain drives and ultimately score points. The last 4 matchups against the Steelers, Rob Gronkowski has had 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. So Mike Tomlin, Keith Butler, they've got to figure out how to slow him down. Now, on the defensive side of the ball for the Patriots, and looking at this matchup, you know that they're going to deny vertical entry for all of those receivers for Ben Roethlisberger. They're not going to let Juju and Antonio Brown get free releases into the secondary. Stephon Gilmore, the #1 corner for the Pats, he loves press coverage, and that's something that Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger struggle in terms of being able to have that connection. I think they've got 5 touchdowns to 7 interceptions against press coverage this year, and Stephon Gilmore lines up in press coverage almost half the time. So that's one of the things that you got to look for in this matchup. We keep talking about the two teams, but I think you have to dive a little bit further into the individual matchups and who are going to be the key difference makers. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you've got to find a way for Antonio Brown to be effective against that press coverage. Right. And then defensively, you got to find a way to slow down Rob Gronkowski. So
the Gronk thing's interesting because you're absolutely right. He shredded the Steelers. We can take it to his whole career. And his whole career, he's played 6 games against them, has 660 yards, 8 touchdowns. Like the last game they played, how did the Patriots drive down the field for the winning score? Pass to Gronk, pass to Gronk, pass to Gronk. 3 straight big plays for Rob Gronkowski late in the 4th quarter to put them in position to win that football game. But I think one of the reasons the Patriots have averaged 35 points a game against the Steelers over the last 5 years is not only because Gronk's been effective, but because the Steelers have committed so much personnel to Gronk. They have tried to double him. They have tried to take him out of the game, and they've been ineffective doing it. I don't think Gronk's the same player anymore. And even though the history tells me he can kill me, I want to see him kill me. I'm not spending 2 of my 11 guys on defense on a player that I think at this point is incredibly limited, except for his catch radius is the same and his strength seems to be the same, but his ability to move does not seem anywhere near the same. So it's a big risk, and history says, why would you do that? He kills you even when you do focus on him. I just don't think he's the same guy. And I think that with the addition of Josh Gordon getting more comfortable in the offense, with Sony Michel there, even though he's been dinged, like there's too many other ways for the Patriots to beat you. We saw Cordarrelle Patterson hit him with a deep shot in the Miami game. If I'm dedicating 2 parts of my secondary or a linebacker and a piece of my secondary to Gronk, I think it opens up too much of the rest of the field for Tom Brady. So I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to single cover Gronk, much like Miami did a lot of the game, much like the Jets did with Jamal Adams, and take my chances there.
I believe this game is about the Patriots running backs. I believe Sony Michel, James White, Burkhead trying to get him involved. Last week you saw him with a couple carries, but I believe that they're going to be heavy run and heavy play action. One thing you don't want to do against the Steelers, especially on the road, is be able to turn the football over. Because I just believe that New England, they think they can force Ben to some turnovers. Because Ben, they got to win this game. This is the type of game Ben's going to hold the ball,
try to make big plays.
Hold the ball until he can find someone open to be able to make big plays. They know their season is hanging in the balance. So I believe that New England, especially early, will be very careful. But every time Bill Belichick plays against Mike Tomlin, the Pittsburgh Steelers, he always has like 1 or 2 trick plays that, I got you plays. So as we watch this game, either special teams or a flea flicker, they always pull it out at the right time against them. But at the beginning and end of the day, what's it about with New England? Tom Brady. All right? They're not going to be able to get to Tom Brady. So Tom Brady being able to dissect, and I believe, like you said, in Josh Gordon, he's gradually just inching his way back into this offense to be able to have that big breakout game after all that play action. Josh Gordon, I believe, does some damage to that Pittsburgh secondary.
You said they're not going to be able to get to Tom Brady. I mean, because the Steelers have been great at getting to the opposing quarterback. Why do you think that? Because
he get rid of the ball. He's not going to hold on to the. That's part of the game plan. We're going to run the ball, and he's going to get rid of the football, especially early.
And if you compare what Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger have done in the last couple weeks, we talked about it. Tom Brady's really protecting the ball. Ben Roethlisberger's been compulsive. He's playing reactionary. He's going for big plays, which is why he's got so many picks. How much of this game, like C said, will come down to the play of the quarterback?
Well, that's what it ultimately is going to be all about. I mean, it's what quarterback do you trust the most when things go off schedule? And by off schedule, I'm not talking about down and distance. I'm talking about when the defense presents the challenge in terms of disrupting the timing of the passing game, whether that's pressure up front or whether that's being physical with the receivers at the line of scrimmage. I feel like Tom Brady does a better job of having answers for those types of situations. He doesn't force things like you say all the time, CC. You don't go broke taking a profit. I mean, he'll take the throw over the middle to Julian Edelman or a check down to the running back and get 5 yards and move on to the next down. Whereas Ben Roethlisberger, you see, he's going to hold on to the ball and try to make the big play. Now, I think a key to this game is those defensive backs for the Patriots plastering those receivers from the Pittsburgh Steelers when Big Ben breaks contain out of the pocket. Because guess what? They run the scramble drill better than any wide receiver quarterback group in the National Football League. So, I mean, that's one of the things that you've got to be able to guard against. When Big Ben breaks contain on the pocket, those defensive backs have to be really physical with those receivers, and you have to have awareness in terms of where they're at, because that's where a lot of those big plays in the passing game for the Steelers come from.
This probably won't surprise anybody. I mean, the last 20 years, the two best teams in football, record-wise, coming off a loss are these two teams we're going to see on Sunday. The Steelers, over the last 20 years, they win about 2 out of 3 games after a loss. The Patriots win an absurd 4 out of 5 games after a loss, both far better than any other teams in the league. They're, of course, both coming off a loss. And, by the way, if you're the Pats, man, I'm sure Belichick, if he wasn't watching last night, he knows who won last night and is feeling like that was a missed opportunity. If they don't allow that Miami lateral, you know who the 1 seed in the AFC is this morning? The New England Patriots. Like that, so that it might not have cost them the 2 seed, but that given the Chiefs' loss, that is a huge missed opportunity by New England last week. I would be shocked if they compound it with a loss this week.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.